Thank you for this opportunity. My question is, after I was introduced to your material and several other people's material, I went through a process of really deliberately creating from a perspective of, at first, adversity, and then looking at adversity and saying, I don't like this place, and I want to experience more joy, more abundance, more money, more, really just happiness. And,
so you're consciously using contrast. Good.
Yes. And once I achieved the things I achieved, it was very interesting that I now have to maintenance these things.
Well, you see, you're very wise because you managed by focusing in a stronger way than felt natural to bring yourself to a vibration that was different from what your usual pattern was. Mm-hmm. But because you did it with such clarity and such determination and such practiced planning, in other words, you were applying the processes, you achieved what we are calling a sort of quantum leap. You jumped to a place that was vibrationally quite different from where you'd been before. But it's hard to maintain that jump when you
land.
So now consider this. So I'm over here and I jump over here and I don't maintain it, so I end up here in a place of greater clarity, in a place of practiced understanding. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not counting the distance that you slid back, but instead you're counting the distance that you move forward, now you jump over here and then you slip back a little, and then you jump over here and then you slip back a little, and then you jump over here. Or you could just move more incrementally. In other words, you can go this way and slide, and this way and slide, and this way and slide, or you could just move a little and not do any sliding.
And I guess another thing is, I've seen evidence, and I guess some of the times I don't have the positive feelings is when I start really comparing to other people's achievement.
Well, that'll get you every time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't know the vibrational makeup of their desire or the drum that they're beating. In other words, you can't accurately measure their components. All you can do is see their results and try to get a sense of their vibration. But you don't really know. And that's why we love this moving up this vibrational emotional meter game so much. Because when you find relief from an emotion, and you've deliberately chosen the thought and consciously acknowledged that you feel relief in it, now you say, there's no place I can't go. But when you are trying to measure your progress by somebody else with all of those factors that you don't know about, then you could get lost out there in the desert for a while.
One thing I noticed is during the process of actually seeing your deliberate creations manifest in front of you, and maintaining them with the physical activity of work and management, part of the time when I didn't have it, I spent more of that time wanting it and attracting it, and now managing it. Now I don't have as much time to do that.
What you're talking about is before the empire has been built, you have more dreaming time. And there is more purity of thought in the dreaming time. Once the nitty-gritty happens and you've got employees, it's not as easy to maintain your positive image. When you realize that you're creating through thought, then there is nothing more important than setting aside time to dream, time to positively contemplate. Now, it doesn't matter if you are contemplating into the future or perusing wonderful things from the past or even observing wonderful things in the now. All of that is part of powerful positive creating. But what sometimes happens is as manifestation begins to congeal as a result of the dreaming that you did before you had so much that was manifesting, then sometimes you sort of get caught up in the spiral of life. Someone said to us the other day, it feels like my life is living me. So many manifestations. Jerry said to Esther, we have a tiger by the tail. And he was not only talking about their seminar work or the work they are doing with the subscription programs or the books they are writing. He was talking about the building projects and all of the things that have been in previous years dreams that are now coming to fruition. It takes time just to appreciate them. It takes time just to observe them. It takes time to get on the golf cart and drive around them. In other words, it takes time when you begin manifesting. We tease our physical friends and we say, you're going to get so good at this manifesting stuff that before you know it, you will be requesting workshops from Abraham on demanifestation. How can I simplify my life by unmanifesting some of the stuff that is manifesting? Of course, we are playing with you about all of that because you live in a physical world and you've come forth intending manifestation. And managing manifestation is an art in and of itself, isn't it? Because what you're really wanting to do is to find ways of continually extracting pleasure and good feelings from whatever it is that is surrounding you. There is this feeling that happens with many of you that you have to manage your creations. And we want you to, again, put that into the emotional framework. In other words, it is an emotional journey every single time. It is always an emotional journey. So even when you have created an empire and you have thousands of employees or people that are looking to you for insight or direction, still you must accept yours as an emotional journey. And it must be first and foremost of importance to you that you feel good, that you feel free, that you are happy. And you might as well start now while you are in the beginning of all of this, because we promise you, there have been so many people who have created so many magnificent things, and they cannot maintain it because, as you said, the maintenance is big time, and we say it is emotional maintenance that is necessary. So, how can someone who has a tremendous amount of things to do maintain their happy balance? And we say, by just directing your thoughts into happy places. Esther laughs sometimes. She looks at the 20-something years that she and Jerry have been together. They were married in 1980 and have been busily creating in one form or another ever since then. And she comments to Jerry often that they have always been busy. The first years they were married, they were busy shopping, really busy shopping. Because neither one of them brought anything to the relationship from before, and so they had empty spaces everywhere in their experience that they were wanting to quickly fill up with stuff. And then they filled all the spaces with stuff and a few storage buildings with stuff as well, and then their attention turned more toward creating. More creating as in this gathering, more in the expansion of the message. But along with that comes the fulfillment of everything that they have ever wanted. In other words, you can't want anything that the universe doesn't deliver it and figure out a way to bring it to you. And then your attitude, many of you, is, well, since the universe has delivered it to me, and since I said I wanted it, then I should let it in. Don't I owe it to the universe to always let in everything that I ever said I wanted? And we said, that was your mother that trained you that way. In other words, she said, you put that stuff on your plate, you should eat it. Or you ask for this, now you must play with it. But the universe is saying to you, you get to constantly redefine who you are and what you want. And we will, meaning the entire forces of the universe, acquiesce to your continually evolving vibrational stance. So when you are bored and you want more activity, the universe brings you more activity. When you have too much activity and you would like more solitude, the universe will bring you more solitude. When you don't have enough stuff and you want more stuff, the universe will bring you more stuff. When you've got too much stuff and you want more clear space, the universe will bring you more clear space. In other words, there's no right or wrong in it. No one can write a book about the appropriate way to live your life. You get to decide based upon the way you feel. And so for most of you, you're bored and then you get busy and then you're overwhelmed and then you get bored, and then you're bored, and then you get busy, and then you sort of vacillate back and forth. And what we're wanting you to do is take more bite-sized steps. In other words, take smaller, more incremental steps. Be more sensitive to the way you are feeling bit by bit by bit. And when it begins to feel too busy, do something to ratchet it back. In other words, get more people to help you in place, or get more leisure time where you can relax. Set aside more time in every day that you can find that fresh feeling place. And this is the thing that we most want to give to you. And oddly enough, we're wanting to give it to Jerry and Esther and many others of you even at the same time. And that is, since nothing is more important than that you feel good, we would, as soon as this gathering is over, sit as soon as you can when you can get off by yourself and make a list of the 5 things that you feel best while you're doing them. Mm-hmm. And then make sure that you do all 5 of those things every single day. Put those 5 things that you like most at the top of every day's list and make sure you do it, and do anything else you have time to do. And if you'll get those 5 things that you like best on the list, and you will achieve them, and you'll discover that most of them don't take that much time, you will come back into alignment with who you really are, and everything else will take care of itself.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
The phenomenon of the movement of articles after someone dies and someone wants a message and something happens, something falls, a picture falls, that sort of phenomenon, how does that happen?
Well, when you realize that everything is vibration and that there is no separation between realms, it is possible from non-physical projection to set forth an intention that then is played out in the physical. In other words, things that are vibrational in nature.
Very good.
And on it goes.
I gotcha. But it's sitting. Say a picture is sitting on the wall and then it falls, and there's been no vibration, there's been no movement, there's been no earthquake.
No vibration that you can measure, but vibration just the same. Jerry and Esther have a friend who made his transition some years ago, and he was an electrical engineer, very highly acclaimed. And Jerry and Esther came to know him after he had retired, and they knew his mate as well, and he made his transition. And she sent a letter to Jerry and Esther letting them know that she was on a very regular basis having interaction of a very physical nature with her dearly departed mate. Her doorbell was ringing and no one would be there. Things that were electronic in nature were particularly happening. And Esther thought, well, I don't doubt that at all, because he was an electrical genius in his physical realm, and now he is non-physical. Of course he would be able to manipulate things just with his mind and achieve results in order to give messages to his wife. And Esther loved the idea of that. So now Jerry and Esther are standing in a room that at that time in their home was the room where Esther keeps everything. It was a room that was wall to wall, ceiling to floor shelves, and all kinds of things were stored there. And one of the things that was stored there was a rolled up print of a magnificent painting that this man's wife had given Jerry and Esther years ago. And Esther had always intended to have it framed, had never gotten around to it, and it was on the top shelf in this room. Now Esther is standing in that room with her back to the wall, unpacking a suitcase on a table, when that picture fell off the shelf and hit her on the head. And Esther said, yes, it seems that it doesn't have to be things only of an electronic nature, that anyone who is non-physical, that is knowing of us, particularly when we are knowing and thinking about them, that we open a sort of vibrational avenue or channel through which communication of all kinds can take place. This is a physical world that is of the non-physical. There is non-physical intervention all of the time. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. We have enjoyed this interaction. There is great love here for you, for all of you. We are complete.